Like, what is the hardest thing you ever experienced as like a gay dad? Everything was planned?
No, we
or?
had no idea. And so even we didn't think about getting married.
Oh, there shouldn't be two dads, like a child needs his mother.
The channel is called Futari Papa, so there's no mama, okay?
Yeah,
Two
exactly.
papa, yeah. Before I start watching today's episode, I highly recommend turning on the subtitles on YouTube. We switch between Japanese and English quite often. Now please enjoy. You guys don't know the real me, okay? I'm not a party gay. I'm not a hatemba gay like this person sitting right next to
Wow,
me.
you're just throwing a lot of things out right now. Okay.
I am a family gay. I always want to do this channel to talk about building a family. So today, I have my idol here. Shayna! We have Futari Papa here. Actually, just Futari Papa no.
So Hitori Papa.
Let's welcome him. For you guys out there who are not familiar with Futari Papa, it is a family channel which features an international gay couple and their cute son. In 2016, they went through their surrogacy journey and have become Japan's national gay dads. I'm a fan of their channel. It gives me so much hope of having my own happy family one day in the near future. Today we have Mitsum Papa with us to share more of his story.
Thank you for
Tokyo
coming.
Bottoms.
Hi, Tokyo Tops!
Hi, Tokyo Gay.
So we have Futari Papa, Mitsu Papa here.
I really have wanted to ask you for a really long time. Who is the person who goes Hitori Papa?
Okay.
Is it you?
Yeah.
Yes, that was me. So I just changed the later.
Yeah.
The speed and also like I changed the pitch as well.
So today we're gonna ask lots of questions, just like for me
Yeah, it's gonna be
personally,
Mang asking a lot of
because
questions.
I don't know if you guys know about this, but I'm planning to have a kid in about 2 to 3 years. With or without a partner. I really want to have my kids, so I have lots of questions for you, just like
sure.
genuinely. So
Well, let's begin.
Yeah, but have you read this book?
not yet.
Oh my god. This is actually our surrogacy journey. So from the beginning, how we started to talk about it, and also how do we reach to the agency in America, and so it's even before we talked about the adoption as well. There's some different options to have a baby between gay guys. I was born in Nagoya, in the middle of Japan, but I moved to Tokyo for my acting career. It was like 2008. I met Rickard, who is from Sweden. So he had been in Japan at the time, maybe around 10 years. So he spoke Japanese already, and also we kind of met online and then started dating and becoming a proper relationship. We've been together for 3 years in Tokyo, and then he got some job offer from London. So we decided to move together, and so at the same time we got married under Swedish law. Because in Sweden they recognize same-sex marriage in 2009, and we got married 2011.
Okay.
And then we moved to London together, and then we started talk about having baby, and then we choose surrogacy journey, and then we got baby in 2016.
Did you know, like, long time ago before dating Lika Papa, and you were like, I want to build a family. That's why I was checking all the, the marks, like, also Lika Papa, do you want to have a kid? If you want it, then I want to date you. If you don't want it, like, I'm not gonna date you. Did you like think about things? Like, everything was planned?
No, we
or?
had no idea. And so even we didn't think about getting married. But it just circumstances, because when we moved to London together, I have to get the visa in EU. I mean, at the time it was still in EU. And then marriage was the most instant way. And then we just decided and moved there. And on the same year, my husband's sister gave birth first child. And then we kind of spent time together for the Christmas together with a newborn baby, and it was so nice. So and I love kids, like spending time with kids. So and then he knew it, and then he started talking about
Because he wanted.
what if?
What's next?
What if?
Yeah, what if?
So everything was not planned, but it was happened very naturally. You just dated for a long time, and you think about what's the next step, and you both enjoy like having kids or love kids. That's why it happened very naturally.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. Wow.
It's a good sign because you love kids, so there you go.
I do love kids, and kids love me. Do you know?
Yeah,
Kids
sure.
usually little animals, and kids really love me. Yeah, I'm like the.
I don't know about you, but
have
I
seen
will.
it.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say that when I've seen him with babies, yes,
I come very naturally as well.
The kids love him. Yeah.
I also want to know, like, even want to roll back earlier. Like, what's your gay life here? Like, was it hard for you to come out? Like, when did you realize that you're gay? All this kind of like growing up gay kind of question. If you can introduce a little bit more of your like gay background.
Yeah,
here.
obviously, like more than 10 years ago, there's no words LGBTQ plus or something. I couldn't come out to my parents and families. Yeah, it was really big change. Rico, because he brought some different idea and different thoughts from Sweden or maybe other international friends and community. It opened my eyes really differently. So I could see different perspective and different point of views. When we decided to get married, that was really good thing because I could come out to my parents. Of course, my parents were really panicked when I came out. I wrote a letter.
Oh, you didn't tell them face to face.
Yeah, I couldn't just do it. I asked my husband if I should tell them. But his advice was really brilliant. If you want to, and if you're ready, you can just go. And I really wanted to tell them, so we were going to get married. They have some conservative idea, and also family and marriage is traditional.
Okay.
And then of course they were panicked, but luckily I have one sister and two brothers who I already had told. They were really helpful to support, not
That's
me
nice.
actually, support my
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
very
was-
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the perfect. By the way, so on the letter, I wrote 16 pages.
Oh my god.
On the first page, I have to summarize that. I'm going to get married with Swedish man. I'm gay.
じゃあ結論から。
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So my brother or sister, I don't remember, they told me that my dad was こんなの読んでられるかいや今はもうまあ笑い話
How much time do you think you spent from start to finish researching, finding the lawyers, finding the agency, finding?
Yeah, it's roughly like 2 years for research. And then,
We're starting now. It's good.
I should start right now
Yeah.
then.
yeah, but you know, but no we didn't research
Every single
every day,
day.
every single day for 2 years because we were busy and so we are kind of. And then we signed a contract with agency, and then from that point to the baby was born was like 2 years. So in total 4 years, I guess.
Were you guys also thinking about like adoption?
Yeah, of course we talked about it, and of course we have researched international adoption as well. But international adoption is, of course, it's good, but if you're a gay couple, sometimes it's really difficult to adopt from the country who is anti-LGBTQ, like a same-sex couple. So if they say no to gay couple,
Yeah.
of course you can't. Surrogacy is also, it's quite pricey.
Yeah.
But also international adoption is also quite pricey.
Very
In
pricey.
sometimes.
How is your child like being recognized here? Like, do they recognize as your son here, like legally in Japan?
In Sweden, we are both parents.
Okay.
We have the shared custody and also parental rights. But in Japan, only I have
Custody.
custody.
Will they recognize you guys as legally married?
No, I'm still single.
I think we talked about this in the other video as well. It's slowly changing here. It's not enough. There's still lots of ways to go.
Yeah, I can
and we
see
have
that.
some setbacks, like the recent, things that people have been saying in the government and stuff like that. But, sometimes it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're still kind of making progress here, so.
I'm sure because I left Japan like 11 years ago. I can see the differences. There's no protest for LGBTQ rights. I'm really optimistic in that way.
Like, what is the hardest thing you ever experienced as like a gay dad?
I mean, no, there's no as a gay dad.
It's just
For
as
me.
it's as a
Like,
dad.
As a
probably.
dad.
No, like I have so much like anxiety. 他の人に聞かれたらどうするの?
It's maybe it's
Easier in
because
Sweden, maybe.
Yeah, that's the answer. We had no problem. I mean, like even when we register our son to the preschool, like a kindergarten, so there's no question about us. We just came there together, and then just seeing the facilities. They are guiding facilities to us, and then they never
said
asked
anything.
that.
How about like in your surrounding, like for example, in Sweden, do you have other gay dads or same-sex like parents like in school already were
すごいいっぱい。なんか、but not so many gay dads because we are living northern Sweden, which is much farther north. So there's not so many gays. So gays always go to the big city like Tokyo. But there's plenty of lesbian couple mother because in Sweden, if you're single women or like even lesbian couple, if you have no children, you have rights to access the reproductive health and to get the fertility treatment for the first child, and then which is quite cheap. So there's kind of like a lesbian baby boom in Sweden. Because they changed the law and then you can access that.
That's so good to know because I feel like I have so much anxiety, like いじめ問題とか、like 日本はやっぱりちょっとそういうところ遅れてるじゃないですか。Like if people like ask my kids, I'd be like, so who's your mom? And then they don't know how to answer that.
But there's a kid who has a hetero couple. They are also bullied. And the important thing is how to deal with it.
That's so
how
true.
to tell your children to support them, and also bullying is not your problem if you're bullied. Bullying problem is someone who bullied someone. So it's not your kid's problem at all. My son's case is involved the reproductive health as well and how to make babies. And then in the kindergarten in Sweden, they started talk about from like 5 years old. So they have talked about that where baby came from. And then my son could maybe questioning about where I come from. But he asked us when he was maybe 4 or something. But we have an album which his surrogate mother made from the beginning of the surrogacy journey, even for the transfer of the embryo.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And also having all the photos like every month or something. So her belly was growing up and there was him, and then we just
so everything was honesty. You didn't hide anything.
No.
You didn't trying to teach a different story, being
exactly.
like, okay, I see.
And now he's 6 years old and he understands that he has 2 dads. But there is a woman who gave him in America. And also we visited her last year. It was amazing. And we made a video as well. So
nice.
We always have the contact every year, like giving the Christmas present to each other. And so
that's nice.
Like chatting how it goes. And also sometimes we have Skype chat, like FaceTime chat. Of course, there is some different. That's your choice. You can just choose that, and you have to agree with your surrogate mother if you want to
have a relationship.
Have a relationship afterwards.
But I think like the point here is that nothing's weird about these setups or this family structure. It's like adults are the people who make it weird for children. I don't think, right? I don't think children give a shit. If
they have no bias.
If they're exactly, they're not, as long as they're not taught the bias, and as long as they feel loved and cared for, it doesn't matter what structure I think they're under. They're going to be fine. There are people out there who would be like, there shouldn't be 2 dads, like a child needs his mother, or that's gross. So that is all from adults. Like kids never grow into that situation and feel that as long as they're taken care of and loved. So I think that's the really important takeaway.
It's a gift that Sweden is such an open country and it's like very inclusive. Like people don't give like weird eyes or talk shit behind you, because I feel like in Japan sometimes when I'm holding a guy's hands, like there are people like this, so I wouldn't feel comfortable. I'd be like, what if my kid's being talked behind, like I would feel weird about it. Anyway, I have another question for.
Of course you do.
For raising a kid. It's kind of like spicy question, but there are lots of people criticizing, family channel. For example, putting your kids on YouTube. What do you feel about having your kid on YouTube channel and see him exposing him growing up in front of a large audience? And how does it feel? I see him very happy on the camera, but is it natural for him? Does it affect him in any way, good or bad? I just want to hear your thought.
彼のプライバシーは本当に大切にしなきゃいけないプライオリティの高いことではあるんだけど、で6歳の子供だからもちろんそれが全部決められないっていうのも分かる。だから親が責任を持って決めないといけない。基本的にはだから息子くんの名前は出してない。 だけど顔を出そうって決めたのも、僕とリカが2人で相談したこと、なんでかっていうと最初は顔を隠してこういう発信をしようかと思ってたけど、リカが言ったのは顔を隠すってちょっと犯罪者のイメージになるよね、あとは何か悪いことをしてるから隠さなきゃいけない、でも僕らは何も悪いことをしてないからやるんだったら隠さないでやりたいっていうことを、親2人でまず決めたんだよね。隠さないってことを親が堂々とすることでそれを悪いことはしてないよっていうことを息子くんも大きくなっても気づいてほしいなっていう思いはある。もちろんそれを批判する人がいるし、それが正しいと思って絶対出さないっていう人もいるっていうのはあるけど、なんかそれを怒られるのは僕らだから、子供からね大きくなってなんでパパあの時こんなことしたのみたいな絶対怒られるとは思うけど、それは僕ら親と息子くんのリレーションシップの中で解決しないといけない問題だなとは思ってます。
There's also discussion about family channels and the criticism around there. I think it's also a really difficult topic and a gray area because your channel exists in a sort of educational protest capacity, right? To make sure that you spread this idea that this is possible. And it's proof. And in order to, you need to show that. So you have to show it. You can't block things off and all this stuff, or the message won't deliver.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's that really difficult spot, I think, where you have to make those choices.
I have to admit that I have to ask my son. Maybe we have sacrificed something.
Yeah.
Which is maybe his privacy. But also this is good for him as well and good for the society.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show that this attitude about we can help people. Of course he might disagree in the future, but that's fine. This is who I am, and so I'm sorry that's bad luck for you. It was 悪い親ガチャ.
But to be honest, like just as Andrew said, like just because there's a channel like Futari Papa, it just really gave me so much like hope, and I can see there's a possibility, there's a way for me to have my own kid as a gay person. Not only about two guys having a kid, but it's also just like, how to have fun with kids. 多分女性の方もいっぱい見てると思うんですけどね。ばっかりですよね。
But it normalizes it as well, especially for your female viewers, right? So for the gay viewers, they have something like something to look up to and an example. And for all the other non-gay viewers, they can look at it and say, oh, this looks totally normal. Or this is the same as when I'm with my kids.
I mean, I also want to break the boundaries between men and women. Sometimes we got the comments like, "Oh, Mitsu Papa is mama."
Mama.
Because I'm cooking most of the time. It's no, because
Mitsu mama.
And it's really interesting because YouTube is, building a community, right? Then some other viewers, some other fans. Oh, that is kind of old way to say that, and so there is no way to decide about gender role anymore. So. It was really interesting to see, and I'm so happy to see that community is building, and so we are learning together.
The channel is called Futari Papa, so there's no mama, okay? Two Papa, Thank you. Okay. So yes, we have two really interesting books that, this one is translated by Mitsu Papa, and this one is written by Mitsu Papa.
これはだからセックスブックです。
This is talking about sex education. We actually talk about sex education
in my
with
channel.
The collaboration with Mitsun Papa.
We talk about the differences in China, Canada, and Japan, and Sweden, I guess, where this book was originally written. They bring up LGBT issues. They also just say like how you should respect your body, respect your partner's body, and consent and stuff like that. So it's really, I'm looking forward to it.
But it's really fun to just read it. Because for teenagers book, so you can just really interesting to see how to explore your body, explore your partner's body.
Well, and even like here, that I read a section where they were talking about masturbation and stuff like that, and trying to normalize that, and like that's super important as well, because like when I was growing up, that was like you should not be doing that.
You have the little demon.
Yeah. It was having sexual
desire,
feeling
guilty.
is bad, is guilty. And that's something that we always try and talk about on our channel to get away with. So this book is another example of why that's important.
And this book really talk about Mitsum Papa and Nika Papa's journey to have Musuko-kun. So like, if you want to learn everything about their journey and how did they find, you know, the surrogate and go through everything. And also, did it talk about raising the child as well?
Not really.
Not sorry, but just about going through all the having a baby process.
So this is only available in Japanese?
Yeah,
Are you going to get
unfortunately.
translated?
No, I don't want to translate it myself.
You can find someone to translate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Respect has a different language in like about 20 languages, so you can find that on the internet.
So you know what to do to learn Japanese, okay?
Or maybe
To
you
learn-
Just learn Japanese and then come back and read this
it's
book.
easy. You know, I mastered
no
Japanese
problem.
in 5 years, so you can do the same.
But you have English subtitles in your videos most of the time, or?
Yeah, that depends on the video, but I put the kind of all translated, so it's not accurate, but you can have a look. And but I have always like a Japanese subtitles, so if you're a Japanese learner, so you can see the text and so you can listen what we are talking about.
good.
Yeah, we put all the links below in our description box as well, so just click on them to find these books if you want to have a look.
And check out Futari Papa, link
Definitely.
below as well. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. The battery is running.
Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go.
So-
Thank
All
you
right,
for having me.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.